Albert speaking. And this video we're going to talk about thinking in English. And English thinking seems to be one of the most hated topics these days, and everybody wants to think in English while speaking English, which is actually great because many people say that it's impossible to speak fluent English if we still think in Chinese. And a lot of people actually have so many solutions to it. How do we switch from thinking in Chinese to thinking in English? We can start to recognize everything in English, right? For example, if there's an apple on the table, and when we see the apple, the first impression that comes to our mind is not 苹果, but an apple, right? So that's how we start to think in English. By the way, this is actually a great method. It can actually help us to start to think in English. But the problem with that is, when we talk about apple, banana, or all of those things that are tangible in our real life, we can know exactly what does that mean, right? But if we start to talk about things like marriage or politics, those things are intangible in our life and we cannot see them in our life. You cannot see that I put one marriage on the table and you see this is marriage. It just doesn't work like that. So guys, for me, I think the key to thinking in English is not if you really think in English while speaking English, is that the way you speak English is exactly the same way native speakers do, right? So basically everything you say, everything you try to express is totally understandable and comprehensible to anyone who's to listen to you. No matter what kind of language you're thinking in your brain, you're thinking in Chinese, you're thinking in Spanish, as long as you can speak English the way everybody can understand, you are thinking in English and you have so-called English thinking mode. I think that's the core, right? Most people just spend the majority of their time focusing on how to start to think in English, and they change their phone into the English mode. They basically do everything they can to make everything they say in their real life in English, which is actually great, but these are like icing on the cake. I think the most important thing to start thinking in English is that we need to have the basic structures. We need to know how English is spoken by Englishmen. So that's why we need to learn all of those sentence structures, how this language is structured, and how to express ourselves in English. I think that's the main point. So guys, basically for me, thinking in English or English thinking mode is that we can express the way everybody can understand. It's really not about what kind of language you're thinking while speaking English, right? So that's why I think if we want to develop such skill, I think it all comes down to sentence structures, and we need to practice different sentence structures gradually, and we are able to express ourselves using all of those sentence structures. And that's basically what I encourage my students to do. We practice every sentence structure over and over again until we are able to use this sentence structure without thinking so much about it. But for me personally, I do not do it. What I would do is that I will watch one YouTube video and then I will try my best to retell the story. And sometimes when I feel stuck, I have no idea how to express this video in my own words, I will go back watching this video one more time, and sometimes I will just use the original sentence the YouTubers used in his video, and I think it helped me so much because I think language is all about imitation. It's not about creation, right? When I start to express myself or when I start to retell the story, if I have no idea how this idea could be delivered, I'm not sure. I should go back checking out if I'm using the sentence structure or if I'm speaking English the right way. If I am, then I can go on practicing. If I'm not, I should correct it. And then make sure that the way that I'm using right now is the correct way, and then I'll just go on practicing. So this is English thinking mode, where you can speak English and you can speak the way everybody can understand. That's basically how I practice. So basically retell the story, like I'll do it many times until I am able to express in my own words. And I think it's quite important. It feels really frustrating in the first place because I often feel stuck. I have no idea how to express, and sometimes I really forget about what the YouTuber said in his video, and I have to go back watching this video one more time. But I think that's okay because I rewatched the video and I can improve my listening skills. At least I can understand what this YouTuber is all about, is talking about in his video. But I think it's okay because basically what I do is that I try to learn sentence structure used in the videos, and sometimes I use the original sentence structures. I did not change any subjects because I think the way the YouTuber expressed this topic is kind of perfect, and I did not have to change anything. So that's why I just use the way the YouTuber has used in his video, and I think it's kind of helpful for me because after practicing the same sentence structure over and over again, I just start to have the ability to express such topics in my own words, and the next time when I need to express how I feel under that circumstance, I am free to express myself. So basically that's how we make progress. And I do think that thinking in English or speaking fluent English is a skill that everybody can acquire, but it's a really slow process. So that's why I think we should do the right amount of work and gradually just happen to us, right? Because recently I just find most people have such delusion, like if they are able to study abroad for like 2 years or even 1 year, they are able to speak English fluently and automatically, which is nonsense because no matter where you are right now, it all comes down to how much work and how much effort you put in the right place, right? If you are able to study abroad, and it just gives you the opportunity to speak English, but if you don't want to practice your spoken English, there's no way for you to speak English fluently. So I think going to study abroad is not key. The key is how much you're willing to practice, and if you are willing to practice as much as you can, basically no matter where you are, with the advancement of internet nowadays, you are able to speak fluent English for sure. So that's basically what I think. And I think we should stop taking thinking in English so serious because it's a process and it cannot be achieved in just 1 day or 2 days, right? It's a slow process, and from today on, I really hope we can start practicing spoken English by using different sentence structures, and gradually we're able to speak more and more. And because we are so familiar with different sentence structures, when we start to speak such topics, we feel really easy, we feel free to speak, and that's when we start to feel the power of thinking in English, or thinking English. So, we were not born and raised in an English-speaking country, so there's no way for us to think in English originally, but we can still develop such skill, and gradually we are able to speak English fluently just the way native speakers do. So just don't worry so much about it. We're able to do it. Because if you can look at me, I was going from a place where I was terrible at English to a point where I'm pretty much being able to express myself in English. So basically, if I'm able to do it, I believe you guys can do it as well. Just don't give yourself up and start to practice every single day. One day you will achieve what you want. Okay, so basically that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this far, and I sincerely hope you can speak fluent English one day.